Our homeowner association president Patricia had locked my deaf child inside, removed her hearing aids, and left her to suffer in the blazing sun. All because Emma's noisy singing broke neighborhood rules. Before watching full video, comment below. From where you watching? Also like and subscribe for more stories. I found my little Emma inside a metal cage, burning under the hot sun. Her tiny hands reached for me through the bars. Her tear-streaked face red from crying in heat. Her special hearing aids had been removed and tossed on the ground. At that moment, I wanted to kill Patricia Montgomery. "Mommy, help," Emma cried. "The mean lady said I was too noisy. She put me in the timeout cage." My 5-year-old daughter was born deaf. Her cochlear implants helped her hear the world, but sometimes she could not control how loud her voice was when she got excited. Today, that excitement had made her a target. It all started this morning. Emma was playing with her new toy piano in our backyard. She was laughing and singing, making up little songs like children do. I was inside making lunch when I heard a sharp knock at our front door. There stood Patricia Montgomery, the president of our neighborhood homeowner association, her face tight with anger. "Your daughter is making that awful noise again," she said, without even saying hello. "This is the 3rd time this week. We have rules about noise in this community." I took a deep breath. We had moved to Sunshine Acres just 2 months ago. I thought it would be a nice place to raise Emma after her father died last year. The school nearby had a great program for deaf children, but from day one, Patricia had made our lives a nightmare. "She is just playing, Patricia. Children make noise. She cannot always tell how loud she is because of her hearing condition." Patricia, eyes narrowed. "Disability is not an excuse to disturb the peace. My husband is trying to work from home. Your daughter's screeching is disrupting his important calls." I felt my face get hot. "She is not screeching, she is singing." "Well, it sounds like a dying cat. Either keep her quiet or face fines." She shoved a paper in my hand. "This is your official warning." I closed the door and leaned against it, trying not to cry. Emma did not have many joys in her life. The piano was one of them. Her therapist said music helped her feel the vibrations she could not fully hear. My phone rang. Was my boss. There was an emergency at work, a client crisis that needed my immediate attention. I worked from home as a customer service manager, and this client was our biggest account. "I will be right on the call," I promised. I checked on Emma, who was still happily playing in our fenced backyard. The crisis would take an hour at most. Emma was safe in our locked yard. I could see her from my office window, or so I thought. 20 minutes into my emergency call, I noticed Emma was no longer at her piano. I scanned the yard but could not see her. My heart jumped, but I told myself she was probably just playing behind the big oak tree where she liked to collect acorns. The call dragged on for another 40 minutes. When it finally ended, I rushed to check on Emma. The backyard was empty. Her piano sat silent. Her favorite stuffed bunny lay forgotten on the grass. "Emma," I called, my voice rising with panic. "Emma." A faint cry answered me from behind our garden shed. What I found there will haunt me for the rest of my life. My daughter was locked inside a large metal dog crate. The sun beat down directly on the cage with no shade. Her face was bright red, her hair soaked with sweat. Her cochlear implants were on the ground outside the cage, leaving her in a world of terrifying silence. A bicycle lock secured the door. "Oh, my God, Emma." I fell to my knees beside the cage. I tried to break the lock, but it was too strong. I ran to the garage for tools, my hands shaking so badly could hardly grip the bolt cutters. When I finally freed her, Emma clung to me, her small body trembling. Between sobs, she told me what happened. The angry lady from next door came in our yard. She said my music was ugly noise. She said deaf people should not try to sing. She took my ears away and put me in the cage for a timeout. My blood turned to ice, then fire. I carried Emma inside, gave her water and checked her for injuries. Her skin was hot to the touch. She was dehydrated and terrified. With Emma safely inside, I marched next door and pounded on Patricia's door. Her husband opened it looking confused. "Where is she?" I demanded. "Who?" he asked. "Your wife?" The woman who just locked my disabled daughter in a dog cage and left her to bake in the sun. His face went white. What are you talking about? Before I could answer, Patricia appeared behind him. When she saw me, something flickered in her eyes. Not guilt, not shame, annoyance. Your daughter was disturbing the entire neighborhood, she said coldly. I simply gave her a timeout since you clearly do not discipline her. Her husband turned to stare at her in horror. Patricia, what did you do? Do not look at me like that, Daniel. That child has been a nuisance since they moved in. Always making those strange noises. That ridiculous excuse for singing. Someone had to teach her. There are consequences. I pulled out my phone. The police are on their way, and you should know our security camera caught everything. The color drained from Patricia's face. You are lying. There is no camera. I showed her my phone screen, the app, displaying clear footage of her entering our yard, approaching Emma, crying, removing her cochlear implants despite my daughter's frightened protests, forcing her into the cage and locking it before walking away with a satisfied smile. The police arrived. Minutes later, they took one look at Emma's condition and the video evidence and immediately arrested Patricia. As they led her to the police car in handcuffs, she kept shouting she was violating noise regulations. I was just enforcing the rules at the hospital. The doctor confirmed Emma was suffering from heat exhaustion and dehydration. She could have died if she had been left much longer, he told me quietly. The heat inside that metal cage must have been unbearable. Those words broke something inside me. I held Emma's hand as she finally fell asleep in the hospital bed, her little body hooked up to 4 fluids. And I wept, not just for what had happened, but for how close I had come to losing her. I had tried to be a good neighbor. I had tried to be understanding of community rules. And my daughter had nearly paid the ultimate price. News of what happened spread through our neighborhood like wildfire. By evening, families I had barely met were at the hospital with toys for Emma, food for me, and support I never expected. We are so sorry, said an elderly man who introduced himself as Mr. Chin from across the street. Patricia has bullied all of us for years, but this is monstrous. She threatened to find me when my husband's oxygen machine was too noisy at night, said a woman named Maria, tears in her eyes. He was dying of lung cancer, and she complained about his breathing equipment. More stories emerged. Patricia had terrorized the neighborhood for years, finding a family whose autistic son needed a special swing in their yard, threatening an elderly woman who planted unapproved flowers to attract butterflies for her grandchildren, even trying to ban a veteran from flying the American flag because it was too large. No one had stood up to her until now. Daniel, Patricia's husband, came to the hospital the next day. He looked broken. I had no idea she was capable of this, he said. We have been married for 15 years, but I never truly knew her. I filed for divorce. I am selling the house. You will never have to see either of us again. He handed me an envelope. It is not enough, but it should cover Emma's medical bills and therapy. When Emma was released from the hospital, we returned home to find our neighbors had transformed our backyard. The area where the cage had been was now a beautiful music garden with wind chimes, a small waterproof keyboard, and vibrating sound pads that Emma could feel with her feet. A new, sturdy fence had been installed with a state-of-the-art security system. The homeowner association board called an emergency meeting and voted to remove Patricia as president. In her place, they elected Maria, who immediately approved changes to make the neighborhood more inclusive for people with disabilities. But the damage to Emma was not so easily fixed. She refused to go into the backyard alone. She had nightmares where she was trapped and could not hear anyone coming to save her. She became afraid of her cochlear implants, associating them with Patricia's cruelty. We started therapy. Emma therapist specialized in trauma in deaf children. She helped Emma process what had happened through art and play. Slowly, my daughter began to heal. The music she once loved became her medicine again. 3 months after the incident, Patricia's lawyer approached me about a plea deal. She would plead guilty to reduce charges if I agreed to a lighter sentence. No, I said firmly. She needs to face what she did to my daughter. The district attorney backed me completely. What she did was not just cruel. She told me it was a hate crime against a child with a disability. We are going for the maximum penalty. The trial came 6 months after that terrible day. Emma was stronger. By then, though still healing, I had to testify and relive every horrible moment. When they showed the security footage in court, people gasped. One juror, a mother with young children, openly wept. Patricia's defense was pathetic. She claimed she had found Emma wandering unsupervised and had only temporarily secured her for her own safety. The video destroyed that lie completely. The jury took just 90 minutes to find her guilty on all counts: false imprisonment, child endangerment, and committing a hate crime against a person with a disability. At the sentencing hearing, the judge was furious. "Mrs. Montgomery, you locked a deaf child in a cage, took away her ability to hear, and left her to suffer in the heat because you did not like the sound of her joy," he said. "Your actions show a complete lack of humanity." He sentenced her to 7 years in prison, mandatory counseling, and a permanent restraining order, preventing her from ever contacting us or serving in any position of authority in a community again. As they led Patricia away, our eyes met briefly. For the first time, I saw fear in hers. She finally understood what it felt like to be helpless, to be at someone else's mercy. 1 year later, Emma is 6 years old. She still has some fears, but she is singing again. The neighborhood has transformed. The once identical houses now show personality. Wheelchair ramps were needed, gardens that reflect their owner tastes, children toys and basketball hoops and wind chimes. Every home displays a sign in their window with the American Sign Language symbol for welcome. Last weekend, we hosted the first annual Sunshine Acres Inclusion Festival in the community park. Families from all over the city came to enjoy accessible games, a silent disco for deaf and hearing children, and educational booths about various disabilities. Emma was the star of the show, performing a song she had written herself on her new keyboard. Maria presented me with a plaque on behalf of the neighborhood for teaching us that true community is not about rules, it read. It is about making sure everyone belongs. As I watched Emma playing with her new friends, both deaf and hearing children learning to communicate with each other, I realized something important. Patricia had tried to silence my daughter's voice. She had failed. Emma was singing louder than ever, and in her song, she had brought an entire community together in harmony. That night, as I tucked Emma into bed, she asked me a question that broke my heart and healed it all at once. "Mommy," she signed, her small hands moving gracefully in the dim light of her bedroom, "do you think the mean lady can hear music in jail?" I kissed her forehead. "I do not know, sweetheart, but I hope someday she learns to listen." Emma thought about this for a moment. "I hope she does," she sighed. "Everyone should get to hear music." In that moment, I knew we would be okay. My daughter, who had every reason to be angry and bitter, still believed in beauty. Patricia had locked her in a cage, but Emma's spirit had remained free, soaring on the notes of the songs she created. As for me, I found strength I never knew I had. I now run a nonprofit organization that fights for the rights of children with disabilities and communities across the country. Emma is our young ambassador, showing the world that different does not mean less. Sometimes the worst moments in our lives reveal our greatest purpose. Sometimes the cruelest people teach us our most important lessons about kindness. And sometimes, when someone tries to cage your child's spirit, the most powerful revenge is to help that spirit fly higher than ever before. That is what we did. That is what we continue to do. And that is the story I will tell Emma when she is older. Not just about the terrible day when a neighbor locked her in a cage, but about the beautiful symphony that followed, when an entire community learned to hear with their hearts.